Okay. Uh, oh my God. Okay.
My head looks so big in this. I'm like, what the hell? It's like way up. Alright.
Okay, there we go. All right. I'll tweet out the link and then
Alright.
you want to start with Nuggets, then go to Rockies?
Yeah,
Or
I guess.
yeah, okay. Okay. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Sideline. My name is Rishioza,
My name is Asher Hire.
and we got some more stuff to talk about finally with the Rockies opening days happening last couple days, and so some new topics to talk about. But we're going to stick with the Nuggets for the first part of this show. They had a weird last couple of days, but they had definitely started to get on the right track before winning a couple games against Philly and Milwaukee. We did our last show right before the Milwaukee game, which to me was a really, really good sign. Like the fact that they were able to show up for that game was a big encouragement. Were you in Mexico for that game, or did you leave right after that one?
No, so I was in Mexico for the Bucks and Sixers game.
Okay, were you able to
But
watch?
I was able to watch some of the Bucks game.
Okay.
The only part I watched of the Sixers game was like their choke in the fourth quarter. That was it. Um, but I saw like the highlights and stuff and the
Okay.
recap and stuff like that. So.
Okay. From what you saw of the Bucks game, what did you see? Like, what was a good things that you saw from that game? Because that game was a big sigh of relief for me to
Yeah,
watch that.
for sure. I mean, like, I guess the defense comes first to my mind, after the first quarter, especially. But even in
Mhm.
the first quarter, like Jamal Murray said it post game, like they were playing pretty good defense, like flying around and stuff. But the Bucks were kind of just making the shots in the first quarter, ended up scoring 38. But then after that, second quarter 28, third quarter 19, fourth quarter 21. And so that's elite defense against, the Giannis led Bucks who
Mhm.
after the first quarter also because Giannis had like felt like five dunks in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Um, After that, like he really wasn't much of a factor. Um, and then you didn't like Drew Holiday, who it's crazy how inconsistent he is. He just
Oh,
had like a 50-point game and then he had a 9-point game after
yeah.
that. And then this Nuggets game, he had a 9-point game. Um, so I mean, like you limit Drew, you limit Chris. And I think that'll get the job done pretty
Yeah.
much every time if you just don't let the secondary guy, because Giannis is going to get his. He's still at 31, even
Mhm.
after, even with the rough final three quarters. So yeah, pretty much the defense comes to mind at first, definitely.
Yeah. No, that was a big because like the biggest issue for me over that really rough stretch that they had after the All-Star break was majority just like defensive effort. Like it really, really looked like they were coasting. And and it was because of the fact that they were not playing good teams. Like they were playing like the Bulls who aren't on their level and they got smacked. The Raptors aren't on their level and they got smacked.
And Nets,
Spurs, the Nets, like teams
yeah,
who are not as good and they were just getting hit hard, hard, hard. So like the fact that they're able to play a contender, play a really good team, play a playoff level team, and look that good against them. I know Milwaukee was on the second night of a back to back, but their main guys didn't play that much the day before. Like they
right.
blew out Utah on the Thursday that they played. Like it wasn't like it was a back to back, but it wasn't like the stress of like playing a full four quarter. They played like everyone played the most at like 25 minutes, so they were rested enough to go. But I was really excited about that. My one issue with that was like Aaron Gordon over the past couple of weeks has looked really rough, especially defensively. Um, and like he looked so slow and he just looked like like ankle weights on. He just was not moving properly. But I on like yesterday's game, he looked way better. I thought he looked a lot quicker. He looked like he had more energy. He looked like he kind of got his mojo back, his swagger back, especially in the second half of that game. But because he didn't look, Brandon Ingram demolished him on Thursday night. Like that was a concern for me. Like that game didn't really have any meaning to it because of the fact that Jokic was out, and it was a back to back the next day. Like players weren't going that hard, and New Orleans had everything to play for because of where they are in the standings. But like Aaron Gordon looked really rough, but yesterday was a really good sign for me to see him like have some energy and like play at the rim and make a couple of jumpers. That was a really good sign. That's like my biggest takeaway over the last couple of weeks is that Aaron Gordon has looked so tough, but it looked like he kind of broke through a barrier last night.
Yeah, I mean, which is surprising too, because he was the only starter that got sent there, and Gordon's played in like, other than the little like week off he had with his shoulder, or whatever whenever that was, that like after the All-Star break, and he
It was
didn't
like going into All-Star break and then after,
yeah. So after that little injury, like he's played in every game, I think, and played a ton of minutes in every game, and then you sit out Murray, Porter, Jokic, and KCP, but then you send Aaron Gordon, which was kind of weird to me. But he finally says that his shoulder like feels good. And then I think this game was big for him to get to like feel like the number one option on a team. And he had 26, 8, and 6. So I mean that's pretty good numbers for him, and to get to, as you said, get his mojo back. And then hopefully defensively. I think I had a little bit of a break this game, as Christian Brown was guarding KD a lot and did a really good job on him.
Yeah.
And so good to see Gordon kind of get back to where he was. We'll see if he takes any more days off. There is a back-to-back for whatever reason to close the season out.
What the heck?
I
mean, no one's gonna play. Like Denver ends. They only have 5 games left. They end at home against Sacramento. No one's playing that game. Sacramento's gonna have their seed locked up. Denver's having their seed locked up. No one's playing that game.
It's a Sunday afternoon game. Like,
oh my god,
we're seeing nobody's gonna even get out of bed. They're just like
20 shots.
Yeah. All the players are gonna be like, just let me wake up at noon, go to a little brunch. But no, you got to wake up and play the Sacramento Kings for no reason. But big game tomorrow against the Warriors, against the Road Warriors, who are like the G League version of the actual Warriors. But good to see how I think both teams will be completely healthy. We'll see what's up with Andrew Wiggins, because he was back in the Bay Area a couple days ago after missing like 20 games, I think.
Almost like 2 months, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see like if he's actually gonna be back. I would be surprised if he plays in a road game at first.
Yeah. Because he like if he just got back like yesterday, Thursday, like he's gonna need to recondition, like play with the team, scrimmage a little bit, like just to get into shape. Because I doubt being away from the team for that long, you're not really focusing on basketball. So he's not going to play tomorrow, but like that's still a team that you probably won't play in the first round. Like it's a possibility because of how close the standings are. You're probably not playing in the first round, but you might play them in the second round. So that's a team you want to get a look at. That was one of my things with this Phoenix game, was like I didn't really like how Denver managed around it. Like you sit Jokic that first game, and then you sit everyone the second game. And to me, it's like, why not sit everyone that first game and play everyone the second game, so you can get a look at how Phoenix is going to look against your actual guys. Because you play them one more game later in the season, but you don't know what the standings are going to look like. Hopefully later in the season, meaning on Thursday, it's 5 games left. Later in the season means literally in a week. So maybe that game, you're still playing your guys and you're able to like see them then, because you don't want to risk anything with Jokic's calf.
Yeah.
But
I also wonder, like, I do kind of wonder if maybe the Nuggets, I mean, this probably isn't like going in their thought process. But they all like with them missing all those starters, they kind of didn't like tip their hand or show their hand
No.
to the Suns, who they probably will play in the second round. If things hopefully go right.
Yeah.
And this, it's the first time KD has really played against like Jokic because he's been in well, I mean he's been in the East for the better part of the last like 5 years. So
Mhm.
KD really hasn't seen this Nuggets team at its peak like it is
Yeah.
right now. So I mean, I don't know if you can kind of just hide your cards a little bit before the playoffs. Maybe that goes into it, but probably not just because it was a back to back. But yeah, we'll see what they do Thursday is when they play the Suns next. So I don't know, but I guess the rest of this week it was just a weird week, like all the
Yeah.
Embiid stuff with him sitting out, and then
Mhm.
Jokic sits out with like the same injury, uh,
Yeah.
or injury, like in quotations, they just mark it the same. But um, yeah, I don't know. And then like you get out to this huge lead against the Sixers, and then their bench like
Yeah.
brings them back against your fully healthy team, um, which is weird. And now because Jokic is set out the past 2 games, it's like, oh, is because it was looking like the MVP, and the MVP was pretty much strictly squared up, and it was like really squared up in the straw poll. It was super close.
That two
Huge,
point
yeah,
difference.
which is a huge difference. It's like his Embiid is like 788 and Jokic is like 786 or something like
Yeah.
that. I mean, 2 points is really just like because I think did someone have Jokic in fourth? I don't know, but
No, well, oh, maybe.
there
I,
were
I
a
know that
couple,
because Jokic had more first place votes, but
right?
he had less second and third. So yeah, maybe someone might have had him fourth. I know someone had Jason Tatum second, uh,
That's
which
so
is
weird.
just insanity. I
But I mean,
know.
it's just like the matter of the guys who voted Jokic third. It's just like flipping one of those guys to get him to vote second, and Jokic would have been leading that poll.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's how tight it is. But now it looks like, oh, Jokic missed the past 2 games, and Embiid is back to being a solid favorite on the betting sites. Uh,
Mhm.
but we'll see how the season ends. This is fun. Like I do want Jokic to win his third MVP and
Yeah.
go shut up all the Sixers fans, even though like obviously a ring means so much more. But hey, tomorrow is the perfect time. I think it's a national TV game because it's at 6:30.
Yeah. It's an NBA TV
Oh God.
one,
All right.
which I mean technically counts, but no one counts that as a
What about
national
the
TV
game
game.
at Phoenix? It's 8 o'clock.
That's a TNT game.
All right. So I mean, if Jokic can show up for that game, especially
Mhm.
for this Warriors and the Suns game, that'll be
Yeah.
fun. But I think he can definitely show up against the Warriors just because they're so small, man. Like
Yeah.
Kevon Looney, who's like 6'9", is their starting center, and then after that, they actually don't have a backup center.
No,
So
they don't. I mean, they traded Wiseman. He was their one
yeah,
center on the roster, and they're completely like Looney guards him probably the best out of anybody. Like in
yeah,
terms of at least physicality wise, they let him get away with a lot. But like he guards him pretty well, but it doesn't like Jokic still puts up insane stats. And if they do play in the playoffs, they're gonna deploy the same strategy of playing Looney off ball and having Draymond Green just abuse Jokic in the post and not get any foul calls on him. Um, so like because I remember last time Denver played Golden State, it was in like early February or something. Like it was a while ago. It was right before Steph got injured.
Mhm.
And they didn't have Draymond or Clay. It was the second game of back to back for Golden State, so they didn't have Clay, and I think Draymond was like a late scratch. So hopefully all those guys are healthy for this game because Klay Thompson's been really, really good. Like ever since like the turn of the calendar, he's been really, really good. Draymond is still playing at a high level defensively, and as like a connector, he's still playing really good. Steph is playing really, really well. Jordan Poole has like filled into the bench role a lot nicer than he was beginning of the season. Like Warriors still scare me just because of their firepower and because of like their experience. Like Steph, Clay, Draymond, when healthy, have not missed the finals in 9 seasons.
Yeah.
Like that's ridiculous. So like that still scares me. I want to see how Denver looks against them fully with them going. The issue is that Denver has to make their open shots because Golden State doubles on Jokic. Like they send hard doubles. They don't let him go one-on-one and be a scorer because they know he's going to be able to take the game over. Denver's going to have to make open shots, which over the last 2 games without Jokic, no one did. Michael Porter Jr. was 0 for 7 from 3. KCP has been in a slump for like a month.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray, like
He's
going
like
into the first quarter, after the first quarter last night, Jamal Murray was the only guy to make a 3
Yeah, I was gonna
game
say
since
he's
Monday.
the only one, like literally the only one who
Yeah.
can knock down shots right now, which is just like disgusting for a team who's first in field goal percent, first
Yeah.
in 3-point field. And I mean, I don't. Maybe they're not first in 3-point field goal percentage anymore, but
After that's the last 2 games, I doubt it. Yeah.
yeah, it's probably the Celtics now. But yeah, that's pretty pathetic for them. The Warriors, they hopefully the Nuggets knock down these open shots because like the Warriors have been getting absolutely like screwed over on the road
Yeah.
against like with their 3-point defense because like the quality of looks that the opposing team gets when Golden State is on the road is basically the same as the quality of looks that an away team would get at Golden State.
hmm
But yet the away team is shooting like some ridiculous amount. It's actually crazy. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but it's really, really insane how good teams shoot
Yeah.
at home against the Warriors. Like it's a complete anomaly.
hmm
Um,
It's like God. It's something mental with the Warriors. Like, and now
yeah,
it's probably affecting the other. Like teams know, like, hey, these guys suck on the road. We can beat them, and they just have this confidence, and they're just gonna make open shots
yeah,
at
yeah.
all times.
And it's especially the corner three. It's like
Mhm.
God, I forget what it is. It's like damn near like 45% that
Oh my
home
God.
teams are shooting against the Warriors from three. Um, so I mean, hopefully this game will like get them back on track just because they're going against the Warriors, but
Yeah.
we shall see. And then you got the Rockets after that. So
Yeah. You got what is it, Rockets, and then the Suns on Thursday, and then Saturday you're at Utah. Sunday you finish regular season at home. Look at Sacramento. Um, oh my God, both of the Saturday Sunday games are both at noon.
1:30. I know.
They're both early. That sucks. Oh my God. Why did the NBA do? Why are you scheduling a back-to-back on the last 2 games? This season is probably the worst that schedule makers have done all season long. Because like Thursday was supposed to be phenomenal for the Bucks Celtics. Like that's probably your Eastern Conference Finals preview. Like those they have been the 2 best teams in the NBA this season. Like that's the game. That's the game to keep an eye on this week. And it's on the second night of a back-to-back for Milwaukee. And they get absolutely smoked because they're just too gassed. And then it's the same thing, Milwaukee against Denver. They're on the second night of a back-to-back. The last 4 MVPs, you put them on the second night of a back-to-back. Like it doesn't make any sense what they've been doing. I don't it is really stupid. Yeah, they need to change. Hopefully this new CBA, I do want to talk
Yeah,
about this a little bit.
I was gonna get into that, but they need to like focus on like the matchup, like player
Mhm.
matchups when they think about scheduling more
Yeah.
often, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we can dive into the CBA a little bit. I read like not too much about it, but like basically the main rules are like well, I guess with awards you have to play 65 games.
hmm
So I mean that's big. That'd be big for this year because I think Giannis might be on track to play 66, but it's something like that. But yeah, yeah, it's gonna be big in the future, especially for like all NBA teams.
hmm
Um,
They're positionless now. It was tweeted out today. They're
oh,
going to be
okay.
positionless. I don't know if it counts for this season. It might take effect
Uh,
next year,
yeah.
but it's positionless now.
All right, so there's that. Players can also get more money on extensions with their
hmm
same teams,
Yeah.
which actually hurts the team a little bit more, I think. Um, I don't know, just because you have to pay more. But I mean, it also like
Mhm.
convinces the player to stay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There was some I didn't completely read into like the money stuff, but people are kind of mad about like how they figured it out because it's going to be hard to keep your players.
Yeah. Because like the salary cap went up and it's going to keep on going up. So you don't necessarily have to raise that percentage. It's like now the veteran extensions, you can get 100. It went from like 120 to 140%
Yeah,
of your current contract. Um, which like for most teams, like for most players, that's not an issue. Cause like if you extend like say Bruce Brown on his current contract, he's instead of making 6.5 million, he's gonna make like 10 million. Like it's not that big of a jump
mhm,
in terms of his salary. But like if you want to extend Jokic, like and he's like he's not probably not gonna do it, but if he's like, I want the max I can get, you're gonna have to pay him like $350 million or
yeah,
something
yeah.
insane.
But the thing I saw was like the Warriors wouldn't have been able to sign Dante
Yeah.
DiVincenzo. And then there are some other ones like that, but I don't know. Do you know like why?
Yeah, so they changed the rules around the salary. So like if you're I think $17.5 million into the tax. So if that's what you're paying in luxury tax, not if how much you're above the cap, but if you're paying $117 million, 17.5 million in tax, then you lose the taxpayer MLE.
Right, right.
So that's what
Yeah,
Warriors
that's
use
what
for
it is. It
DiVincenzo.
punishes, yeah, it punishes teams for spending a lot. And then when you look at the Nuggets, it's like Jokic max, Murray max, Porter max,
Yeah.
Gordon, 20 some $1 million a year. Like that's gonna hurt the Nuggets in the long
Well, the
run.
Nuggets aren't well, like they're in the tax, but not by a lot.
Mhm.
Like they're in the tax,
I
but
guess, yeah,
enough to where they won't have that much.
it'll hurt like reshaping the rosters with like a
Yeah.
Bruce Brown,
Mhm.
um, or a Dante DiVincenzo for the Warriors. So I mean, it'll be tough. Yeah, it'll be tough to round out the
Yeah.
rosters, I
It'll
think.
it'll make the mid-level teams a lot more competitive with the higher level teams because the higher level teams are going to be super, super top heavy, and those mid-level teams are going to be way more balanced because they're going to be able to steal those players. Like Bruce Brown still would have been able to sign with Denver because he signed for half the mid-level
Yeah,
exception. But like the Warriors without DiVincenzo, he's been a huge piece for them. Like if he's not there, that's a big loss. Joe Ingles with Milwaukee, he's been a big piece for them.
yeah,
He's not there. That's a big loss. Um, oh, there was one more. Like John
yeah,
Wall signed, but I mean that doesn't really matter. But then there was somebody else.
yeah.
But like those big market teams won't be able to sign like key role players for cheap that won't affect their tax. So it's gonna make the mid teams a lot more competitive, which I like, but like for the NBA, I think it's better. But in terms of like from a fan perspective, it's like, God dang it, like that sucks.
Yeah, it's gonna feel more like I saw someone say, I think it's gonna feel more like the MLB where like feels like anyone who's a free agent is just gonna like leave for whatever
Yeah.
reason. But it was Danilo Gallinari wouldn't have been able
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
sign with Boston. Um, and then there's the in-season tournament, which I'm still kind of confused about.
Mhm.
There is a prize which is like $500,000 for a player, which is like okay, that's cool if you're like a rookie, but if you're Jokic, I mean, it's like all right,
It's a
like
game check.
yeah, exactly. So and then the two teams that make the finals, um, like play at 83rd.
Yeah, they play an extra game.
And so, I mean, I don't know if
Yeah.
like
Like
people
I
just
at
want to do it.
first I really didn't like it, like because I thought that they're gonna have to play a bunch of extra games, but like
Yeah,
the fact that it's baked into the regular
yeah,
season is better. Like it's a little better. It means that they won't have to have like unnecessary extra travel or anything else. And hopefully this means that they'll extend the season a little bit and they'll be able to take away the back-to-backs. Hopefully. I don't know if that's gonna happen,
yeah. It's still kind
but
of confusing on like how
like what the scheduling is gonna look like for it.
and how teams can make the in-season tournament because it looks like it's only 8 teams that'll make it. So is it going to be four, like the top four in the West, top four in the East? I don't
No.
know. It says 8 teams advancing into a single elimination. Um, so I don't really know how they're going to choose the eight. And then is it only the pool games that matter, or is it like the record without the pool games, or is every single game a pool game leading up to it? Um, I don't know. And then and that'll be the final four teams will be held in Vegas. So there's like a little, they're probably just like trying to see, okay, can Vegas have an NBA team, and it will probably succeed. And then there's going to be a
Mhm.
Vegas team soon. But so yeah, there's that.
There's also
The two,
so increase in two-way contract slots. So
yeah,
now it'll be 3 per team. Is that for every team? I thought it was like it was a if it's for 3 for every single team, that's going to be really big because that's 18 roster spots per team, which is big. Like that's an extra opportunity for a younger player, but also for younger teams who are trying to develop. That's huge because like for like the Thunder over the past couple of seasons, like they have there's so much talent in the NBA that you would just throw them onto a bad team, but like there's still some other guys who wouldn't be able to get the chance. And now that's 32 extra or 30 extra roster spots in the NBA for a two-way, which I really like because like
yeah,
there are a ton like two-way contracts don't always work out, but like a lot of two-way contracts turn into good play. Like they have some of these like lists. It was like Austin Reeves was a two-way player last year. He's turned into a good player. Alex Caruso was a two-way player. Duncan Robinson, Max Strus were two ways. Jose Alvarado was a two-way last year. Lou Dort was a two-way. Torrey Craig was a two-way. Like a lot of the times it'll turn you into a really, really solid role player. Um,
yeah. And it doesn't have like Torrey Craig. The Nuggets have benefited from it. Torrey Craig. Plus, it just like, yeah, I mean, it helps the young players develop because Peyton Watson's been getting playing time.
mhm.
Also, like Chris Boucher comes to mind with the Raptors. And
Yeah.
I don't know if Siakam was a two-way, but he played in the G League. But I don't know if he was.
I don't know if I don't think he was a two-way because he was a first rounder.
Yeah, but
I
yeah,
don't
I mean,
think he was a two-way.
yeah,
Right, Van Vliet might have been a
Alvarado,
two-way.
Dort, yeah. There's a lot of good players that come from two ways, but that's pretty much it for the CBA.
Yeah.
Definitely some big changes with the in season tournament that's gonna feel like the biggest change during
Hmm.
the season.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I'm excited to see how that will turn out because it is single elimination, like single elimination is always so fun because it just makes every single game so meaningful, obviously. And like we look at how the play-in tournament is, it's obviously on a smaller scale and it's much higher stakes because it's for a playoff spot. But a lot of people didn't like the play-in when it was first announced, and now
Right.
it's like it's my one of my favorite parts of the entire season is watching those four
Yeah.
games. But I don't know if this is going to have the same effect because, like, to me, it just seems like it's a revenue grab by the NBA. Like they're just trying to get as much TV revenue as they can, um, by like forcing these higher stakes games into the early regular season. But I don't know because, like, like to me, it's a little useless because they already have a load management problem with guys not playing in low stakes games. Like these guys aren't going to have any attachment to these games. Like there's no reason for them to play in these games other than the bonus. So why would they do it? Like
Yeah.
why would a star player risk a season-ending injury in one of those games if they're on a contender when they could rest and take like a couple weeks off and
Yeah.
be
Especially
more
like
fresh heading into the playoffs?
the 83rd game. It's like, man, do I really want to risk it for one extra
Mhm.
game, like for 500,000?
Yeah, it's kind of like this just popped in my head. It's kind of like first round draft prospect skipping a bowl game. Like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
no reason for me to play in this. Like I have bigger things in mind. Like this has no effect on me whatsoever except an injury. Like
Yeah. That's a good comparison. Um,
yeah. I do want to talk about one more thing. Kind of moving away from the CBA thing. I want to talk about Peyton Watson because he played last night. Um, Essentially his first NBA game. This is like his first real rotation minutes that he's ever gotten. He played before against like Milwaukee, but he only had like 3 minutes in the first quarter and then didn't play the rest of the game. But I am excited for him. Like I saw a lot from him last night. Like Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant, and he's going to make shots regardless of who's defending him. But him and Christian Brown made Kevin Durant take tough, difficult shots, and they
yeah.
forced him into just like literally just being more talented than him was the only advantage that Katie had
Yeah.
over Peyton Watson last night because that was it. Like he guarded him perfectly, he forced him into difficult shots, didn't let him get to his spots. He was physical with him. Like to me, like his not necessarily his ceiling, but where he can be in a couple of years is where Jaden McDaniels is right now. And like if he can get to that level of being a 3-and-D wing, kind of a playmaker, on ball slasher type of guy, that would be perfect. And we were just talking about Jade McDaniels last week, where it was like, that's a guy who we really, really liked and who we really wanted on the Nuggets.
Yeah.
If they are able to get him with the 30th pick in the draft, like that would be perfect. But like that's what I envision him, because they have the exact same measurements. Jay McDaniels is 6'9" with a 7-foot wingspan. Peyton Watson is 6'8" with a 7-foot wingspan. Like they have similar body types. Like Peyton Watson fills out a little bit more, gets a more consistent 3-point shot. I'm really excited about his future. At least that's just what I like. This has been building for a while because of what he's been doing in the G League. But last night against Kevin Durant, the way that he played defensively was very, very encouraging.
Yeah. That would be amazing to have
Mm-hmm.
Peyton Watson like turn into a Jaden McDaniels mold, because McDaniels is a player. He
He's
is
good.
so good. Um, and yeah, like Peyton Watson was amazing. It was 2 blocks. And he was just flying around too. Like earlier in the game, I thought too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he was just like, yeah, maybe he gets beat on like a little bit, but that's like rookie stuff. But he
Yeah.
flies around on defense and he's so long and lanky, and that's obviously what you need. Um, and the Raptors like showed that they have just like a plethora of guys Peyton Watson size.
Mm-hmm.
And they always guard
Yeah.
teams pretty well. So to have a player like that would be
Yeah.
pretty amazing, because that's the guy that they're missing
Mm-hmm.
again. Like I always like come back to just like the length. That's what we were just hammering on in the off season also. And it's still an issue. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
Because really the only guy that can like match up with KD like lengthwise is Peyton Watson, but um on the Nuggets,
Yeah.
like Aaron Gordon, I think KD, like Brandon Ingram showed what you can do against um Aaron Gordon, and KD plays a very similar game. And then Christian Brown, like he did an amazing job, but he's got the T-Rex arms, right?
Yeah.
He's
He's
not
a
really
little
that
too
long.
small,
So
short in the wingspan.
yeah, yeah. So I mean that would be a perfect addition to the
Mm.
Nuggets.
And like you said, like he's gonna be huge for the Nuggets development wise, because they don't have a small forward. Like MPJ is their only small forward on the team, like in terms of true small forward. And even then, MPJ is kind of a tweener between a 3 and a 4. And like
Yeah,
he plays a 4 defensively and a 3 on offense. Like it's weird. Peyton Watson's their only guy who really fits that mold. So I'm going to be very closely watching his development over this offseason and the summer league, and what videos are coming out, because he's going to be big. And like best case scenario, he's probably what Christian Brown is right now next season in terms of where he is in the rotation, like a 7th, 8th man who's on the fringe of being in the playoffs. But like I'm really excited about him, because he like offensively too. He has like, at least in the summer league, we saw like he has playmaking capabilities. He has
yeah,
the ability to finish at the rim. If he's just able to get more consistent with those, he doesn't even need a 3-point shot next year. Like that's not what's needed. What's needed is for him to become a slasher, being more physical at the rim, being like a secondary third playmaker. But I'm really excited. Last night made me very, very excited for that, just because like Kevin Durant's impossible to guard. Like he's KD. He's gonna make the tough shots, but the shots that him and Christian Brown forced him to take and like forced him to make were really, really impressive. So very excited. And like the Nuggets bench next season has ridiculous defensive potential, because Kamagate, who both of us are very high on, he's been incredible in France defensively, and that's kind of his calling card. Peyton Watson, Christian Brown, Zeke Naji, like those are all defensive minded guys.
right.
So unless the front office signs like Rudy Gay or somebody, and then Malone plays him 25 minutes a night to start
Yeah,
the season.
yeah. I mean, the only thing like, because I've seen that too, like the potential bench for next year, which could be like Colin Gillespie, Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, Zeke Naji, um, and Kamagate. Like that sounds great on paper, but that's way too young for
Yeah.
me and way too inexperienced. So
Mhm.
I mean that's like simple. That's just not happening
No,
next
I'm just saying in terms of
But
personnel they have, that bench would never, like, even without Malone, that playing like a bunch of third and second year guys is not going to happen. I
yeah,
completely agree.
yeah. Um, but no, I so we'll see if they get to like keep those those young players intact for when they are kind of further on in their career that they can legitimately be part of a rotation.
Mhm.
And we'll see what the bench looks like then.
Yeah.
But Payne Watson also has been good in the G League. Like he put up,
Mhm.
I forget how many points he put up one game, but
He
I know
put
you
up
always,
like 35, 37,
yeah,
something like that.
you have to take G League games with a big grain of salt because like Torrey Craig was like averaging like 27 points.
Yeah.
Um, I mean Justin Anderson had a 46-point game
Oh my God.
recently. James Bouknight had a 44-point game. Um, like Xavier Moon 44. So I mean, like G League is crazy because you can
Yeah.
have these college stars put up insane amounts
Mhm.
in like a pro
Yeah.
setting.
It's just
Uh,
for me, like when you look at the G League, just for Peyton Watson specifically, like he didn't play in college. Like he played
right.
like 12 minutes a game on a pretty loaded UCLA team. Like he
And I feel like
wasn't
he only played like 3 games because
he yeah, he did not really play that much, and he only averaged 2 points a game. So like this is
yeah,
what his freshman year was supposed to be essentially, where it's developing, working out the kinks in your game, finding out who you are as a player, who you're going to be able to be at the next level, project at the next level. So
yeah,
that's why the G
very
League for me is a little more exciting because you didn't see any of this in college. Like you didn't have the opportunities.
very similar to Jared Vanderbilt, who was out
Yeah,
his freshman season, got experience in the G League, and now he's a good. Oh, he's starting. Like,
yeah,
damn, he's a good player.
yeah.
So yeah, Peyton Watson definitely on track for either Vanderbilt or like a McDaniels type of
Hmm.
arc.
That would be perfect. That would be that like Calvin Booth so far is batting 1,000 on everything he's done in the off season so far. Really, really liking
Yeah,
what he's brought to the table. We want to get into Rockies baseball,
rocks.
the best team in the MLB,
They
Rockies baseball.
literally are. Actually, probably not anymore because some games just wrapped up. But they were 2-0, the only 2-0 team for all of last night.
Hmm.
So yeah, the Rockies
Yeah, as of
are.
right, well, Atlanta won today, Minnesota won today, so they joined the formidable Rockies as 2-0.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean it's fun. Like it's the first 2 games of the season, so you can't really. There's literally nothing to take. Like the first 2 weeks of the season for the Rockies, every single season, you're like, oh my god, this is the season, this is the year. So everything
Yeah,
clicks, and then
I,
June
I
comes
was
in and they're 10 games under 500. It's like,
right. I was thinking about this like last night. I'm like, when can you really be like for real about a baseball team? Because I was thinking like, oh, maybe 30 games, like a month into the season, 30 games. But it's like, no, there's still like 130
there's
games
so
left.
much.
So I'm saying like 50 games a
I'm
month.
saying like literally like June, like 2 months into the
Yeah.
season, like
Yeah, honestly, even like 75 games.
yeah,
Um, pretty much like pre All-Star. Like teams can turn it on post All-Star and be, out of contention and then they end up making the playoffs.
yeah.
Um,
We look at Atlanta last year. They were like they were so far behind the Mets for the division lead,
yeah,
and then they ended up winning the division because they just flipped a switch. Like
yeah,
baseball is it's so insane how teams can just get hot after sucking for most of the season. It's
right.
insane.
So yeah, let's say like 75 games. So even if the Rockies, let's say they start like 15-0, I
I'm
I
not
don't
believing it.
like I'm not, especially after that 11-3 start in a shortened 60-game season and they don't even make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So like 15-0 is not like the ratio between 15-0 and 11-3 in a 162 season game and a 60 season game, or 60 game season. Like it's not even like close. So I mean, even if
Yeah.
they start 15-0, like you have to, I don't think they like make the playoffs, but
Yeah.
even if they do, so
Yeah. I mean,
like
like the thing to watch for me this season for the Rockies, and we haven't really even like talked about them this year at all. Like even with spring training going on, like I want to see the kids play. I want to see them develop their young guys, which is going to be hard because a lot of their young guys like barely have cracked double A, triple. Like Zach Veen, I wanted him on the 40-man roster to start this season,
mhm,
but I mean he barely cracked double A last season, and he didn't play that great
yeah,
in double A.
yeah,
And he, was good in spring training to start, but he fell off towards the end. Like Nolan Jones was not good at all in spring training. Like you gotta have some sort of a process to it, but like I want like you need Tovar to start every single game. Like that's Tovar has to play every single game. I was shocked that Michael Tolia didn't make the opening day roster.
Right.
But like you gotta get him to play. Hopefully you can call up a pitcher at some point and get some
Yeah.
more innings for your younger guys. Like that's my biggest thing for the season. But like, if they make a run and are mediocre again, like it's not that like they're not gonna win the World Series regardless. Like whatever happens doesn't matter too much.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. And it just sucks, like with Rogers being hurt the whole year. I was like, this is like Brendan Rodgers' year because he
Yeah,
finished last year out so well. Because remember, he got off to that
he
terrible
was
start.
awful. Oh
It
my
was
god.
horrible for like 2 months. But then after that, he was amazing. Like if you look
Mhm.
at his splits after like the first 2 months or at post All-Star break, they're phenomenal. They're like
Yeah.
top whatever, like top second baseman production. And of course, he won the Gold Glove. So I mean, I'm like, all right, this is Brendan Rodgers' like all-star year and his breakout party. And nope, injured again, as he has always had to deal with throughout his
Yeah.
career, which just sucks. And then Sean Bouchard, who looked amazing in spring training, another young guy, an outfielder, he gets hurt and he's out for the year probably. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, it just
Lucas Gilbreth,
right.
he looked good. He looked good at times last season. He has Tommy John. He's out for the season. Yeah, it just sucks. Like, there's not a lot of young guys who are realistically going to be able to play the whole season. With
Yeah.
Bouchard being out for an extended period, with Rogers being out for he's on a 60-day injured list. Like, there's not a lot of guys who are going to be able to play, but
It does. Rogers' injury does open up the spot for Montero to
yeah,
play every single game, which is nice because I think Montero has a ton of potential and he's
mhm,
been good to start out this year.
yeah,
He doesn't like he doesn't walk and he strikes out way too much, but like if he makes contact with the ball, I mean, it's flying. He's super
yeah,
strong.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, a lot of swing and miss I've noticed. But he's the main guy you got back for Nolan, so you're hoping
I
he's
made a
good.
TikTok about that Arenado trade. It's like aged so horribly. Like the five guys they got back for him, like Austin Gomber was fine in 2021, but
Yeah,
last year was one of the worst pitchers in baseball. Like no
yeah.
exaggeration. Um, Mateo Gill is no longer on the team. Tony
He's
Losi they
not.
just traded.
Oh my God. I was gonna say the only guy I know is Mateo Gill, and I thought he was like, God damn.
I thought he was gonna be good. I thought he was gonna
I
like
think he
be
was
on the
the
team.
best like prospect they got, like rankings wise. I think he was ahead of I don't quote me on that, but I feel like he was ahead of Montero like in the rankings. But no, continue because I don't know the rest of these players. I've never
Yeah,
heard
so
of them.
like they got Gomer back who sucked last year. They got Mateo Gil who got taken in a Rule 5 draft by the Mets. They just traded Tony Losi, who was part of that deal, to the Rays for a player to be
Oh
named
God.
later, which in baseball literally means they just traded him for nothing. Like they just gave him away because
Is he a pitcher?
yeah.
Oh,
So he's gonna
jeez.
be an all-star in 2 years with Tampa.
Yeah, with the Rays.
um and then they had Jacob Sommers, I think,
Yeah,
uh,
that's right.
was his
Someone.
name, and he's a pitcher, but he hasn't even debuted yet. And then Montero, he looked like fine in his debut last season, but he didn't like show crazy because he didn't walk. He struck out a bunch. He didn't have a high average. But when he made contact, like the ball just it looked like a missile off of his bat. So like if he's able to project and maybe have a really really good season, it looks better. But like the other four players you got back in that deal suck. So
Yeah. And plus you gave him 50 million
yeah, plus
dollars.
you're pay you're still he's the second highest paid player on your roster this season. And he hasn't played for you for 2 years. So that trade looks worse and worse by the day. But I mean, I feel like everyone knew that when the trade happened.
But
That trade looks worse. Oh, wait, hold on. You cut out a bunch. Uh, hello? What is going on? What is going on?
can you hear me?
Kinda. Your video is super, super laggy. I don't know what's going on with the audio.
Yeah, yours is too.
Oh my god. What in the world?
All
Okay, wait,
right,
I think
wait.
it's better now.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah, we're back. I
Let me,
don't know what happened.
hold on. Let me get a charger because my computer's at like 6%. I don't know if that has anything to do with
Hmm.
any. Hold on.
Okay. While this is happening, I'll say some stats for the Rockies over the first couple of games. Um, it's got CJ Cron is hitting 700 with 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. He is 5 for 7 with how many walks does he have? 2 walks, 778 on base percentage for CJ Cron through 2 games. So hilariously good. Charlie Blackmon has looked good through the first couple of games. He's hitting 5 for 9 with a home run last night. 9 total bases, are second on the team. Yeah, it's just weird. It's like so weird to like say anything like without like a huge grain of salt because
I know.
like it's the first 2 games. Like what?
Yeah, but like they do have those three guys, Chris, Blackman, and Crone. Like that is like pretty, good middle of the order.
Yeah.
Even though their combined age is like 90 something. It's weird for a rebuilding team. Like they can still, considering or with whatever, not withstanding whatever the word is, injuries, um, which will probably happen because they're old
Yeah.
and Ryan gets hurt like a ton.
Mhm.
So I mean, like all three of those players is probably going to hit the injured list at some point. Hopefully, it doesn't happen at the same time, but um, like if Chris Bryant can get back to what he kind of was, that's pretty good. If he can, get back to all-star caliber hitting. Charlie Blackmon, you know, he's fallen off the past 2 years, but still a respectable hitter. And then CJ
Mhm.
Cron had a all-star season last year, so
Yeah, he's one of the best power hitting first basemen in all of baseball last season.
yeah.
Really, the last 2 seasons, he's been pretty good over the last 2 years. For a guy who came in on a minor league deal, he's been pretty solid.
Yeah, obviously it comes down to pitching.
Mhm.
And outside of the first two guys of Marquez and Freeland, it's like a bunch of guessing and a bunch of like, and then so then if one of these starters get hurt, it doesn't even have to be Marquez or Freeland. If one of them gets hurt, it gets even worse because you got
Yeah,
to, because like 3, 4, 5 in this rotation is just iffy, very
yeah.
questionable.
Right,
Uh,
right now, the starting rotation, at least on ESPN, when they list starting pitchers, Ryan Feltner, Kyle Freeland, Austin Gomber, Connor Siebold, Herman Marquez, and Jose Urena. So like Freeland and Marquez, good. Those are good above average pitchers. Marquez, when he's on, is one of the best in baseball. Last year was like a ridiculous anomaly because he was just horrendous. But season before he was really, really good. And like he's been good for a while. But like Ryan Feltner, you don't really know. Like he's one of your younger pitchers.
Hopefully he has a. I met him like a couple weeks ago through like hospital stuff. Ohio State Buckeye, by the way.
Let's
Just
go.
um, but yeah, hopefully he has a good year.
I like he has like some good stuff.
He
It's
does.
just
Like his strikeouts per nine is like not that bad. Like he
mhm.
does strike out some guys, but
he just he just his control is the one thing.
yeah.
He just leaves a lot of stuff over the middle of the plate. But if that's is fixed, then he's projects to be good. But then like Connor Siebold and Jose Urena, Brent Suter, they're just all meh.
Yeah. I mean, Jose Urena was like out of the league for like 2 years before
Yeah.
randomly signing a deal with the Rockies. And then, but I will give the Rockies credit, like these low kind of whatever, like low key moves that they make sometimes, like with CJ Crone was like a
Mhm.
guy who wasn't scooped up immediately in free agency and then let it ride out. and then he had a great year. And then Jose Urena, I mean, he makes the opening day roster. Must have
Yeah.
done something, decent. And he was just a random pickup. And then, they pick up Moustakis, who I'm not like saying is gonna have like a good year, but you never know, a power lefty at cores,
Hmm.
we'll see. So
Yeah.
um yeah,
Almost all the time when they make like a minor league contract signing, like it almost always will turn out good,
yeah,
which is weird considering that they have never like won
right.
anything. Like their big moves that they make always suck, but their smaller moves are always really good. Like Ian Desmond, what
Hmm.
what happened with him? Like Daniel Murphy instead of DJ LeMahieu, Chris Bryant, like all those moves are like, what are they doing? But then you get like imagine if like the Braves have gotten CJ Cron on like a minor league contract, like everybody would be praising it, which for good reason because like if he was on the Braves on a minor league contract, he would have been great. But
Hmm.
like because he's on the Rockies and because they don't make any other moves, it is not covered at all, and rightfully so because you should win if you want to be covered at least a little bit.
But
Oh,
but yeah, I guess back to this team. They play the Padres 640. See
mhm.
how that goes. The pitching has been good. The starting pitching has been amazing. And then even
Yeah.
the bullpen does have some pieces that I like. I mean, I love Justin Lawrence.
Yeah,
The stuff that he brings is
it's
just
disgusting.
insane. It's like the best stuff we've seen since Ottavino, and it might even
Mhm.
be better.
He's
Um,
got way more velocity than Ottavino. Like
yeah,
their
yeah,
sliders are similar, but Justin Lawrence's fastball it's insane.
yeah. So him, Brad Hand, I guess. I mean, he had a sub 3 ERA last year. Um, but I mean, I could just as easily see him being absolutely just get hammered at course.
Oh
So
yeah,
um, Brent Suter, I actually do like that pickup.
yeah. Brent Suter was pretty good. Who did they trade for him? They traded somebody for him. Was it Connor Joe or no?
Was it? No, because he went to the Pirates. I think they got him from the Brewers, unless he was
Yeah,
like a Pirate for like a quick second, but I don't
I don't
even
know. I
remember.
don't remember.
And then I'm trying to think because I do like some of these guys, but I'm trying to think. Daniel Bard. Hopefully he gets better with his like
Yeah.
anxiety stuff. That's super tough. He
Hmm.
can't even like control it really, but
Yeah. Their pitchers are also like pretty young. Like Daniel Bard's old. He's like 36, 37 or something. But like the rest of their pitchers aren't really that old. Jake Bird is another guy who I out of the bullpen isn't horrible, who has good stuff. He's 27, Ryan Feltner 26, Freeland 29, Gomber 29, Justin Lawrence 28, Marquez 28, Seabold 27. Like they have some good young arms in there. And they have a couple others that are coming up through the minor. Like Gabriel Hughes pitched a game in spring training. He looked really good. Like over a few innings. He struck out like 5 or 6 guys over 3 innings. Like he looked really, really solid. He was their first round pick last year. So
I was
it's
gonna say I'm excited for like because I remember this guy coming in and just throwing absolute gas for like 2 games. Julian Fernandez,
oh yeah.
but he's with the Blue Jays. But
Oh, of course.
he's young and he came in throwing like 104. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that guy.
But yeah, literally only played like 2 games. But anyways, I was gonna say him, but clearly not. Um, Gabriel Hughes, and then they got the guy from LSU, um, Jaden
Oh,
Jaden
Jaden
Hill.
Hill.
And I think he can project to be. I mean, he was a projected like first rounder before he got
Mhm.
hurt. And they took him in the second round, I think. But
Yeah.
that's another up and coming guy. Ryan Rollison has been on the 60-day IL like the past 2 years, but um, hopefully he comes back. A lefty projects as a starter. Riley Pint is back pitching,
Yep.
so maybe he could finally. I don't think he's debuted yet, but he was drafted
No.
like 2016, retired, and now he's back. And so I don't think he's ever. I mean, we could see him debut this year. He had a pretty good year last year in the minors, so
Mhm.
um, yeah. I mean, there's some promise coming up with the pitching staff, especially Gabriel Hughes. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
It's kind of weird. Like the Rockies farm system, when they were good, the 2 year spurt when they were good was horrendous. But since then, it's like slowly climbed up in terms of
And yeah, their farm
ranking.
system in general. I think MLB just came out with their like rankings, and they were a top 10
Mhm.
farm system, with them being like 32 for like the longest. Like,
Yeah, like they were horrendous for so long.
yeah, yeah.
Slowly but surely, they've started to get it going. I don't know if that's just Bill Schmidt being better than Jeff Bridich or what. I don't know what it is, but
Probably just being bad and having a top pick, and then they just like pick whoever.
probably because they got like who's they because they got Veen and then the next year they got Benny Montgomery. Or
Yeah.
was it Flip? I don't remember.
No, yeah,
But
you're
those
right.
two guys out in the outfield are projected to be pretty solid.
And yeah, those I mean those are good picks because like in center or in cores you need super fast
Mhm.
outfielders to cover all that ground in the outfield, and they actually went out and did that. So
Yeah.
that is surprising. They actually like saw they actually know where they play, unlike Jeff Bridich, who just signed like the worst possible guys for cores. Um, but yeah, because that is something that you have to deal with, and it has to be like in the forefront. It can't even be in the back of your mind when you're signing players. It has to be like in the forefront of your mind. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, we'll see how the season goes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm projecting like I don't know, a 70 win season, maybe.
Yeah. If their top three guys are able to stay, if Bryant, Crone and Blackman are able to stay healthy for majority of the season,
Yeah.
they're not going to be awful because that top three is like pretty solid. When they're healthy, they're pretty like Chris Bryant when healthy is an all-star guy. Like that he just is. And
Mhm.
then when Blackman Blackman's he's still like a 20 homer type of player, especially if he's DHing majority of the time and doesn't have to use his legs in the outfield
He
and
hit
is
one
able to
last
stay
night.
fresh. Hmm?
He hit one last night,
Yeah,
so
he won last night. And CJ Cron has been the 30 homer guy the last 2 seasons. Like those two guys are good. And you just have to, round if Ryan McMahon is able to put it together this season.
dude, that's what I was just about to say. I've been waiting on Ryan McMahon to break out for
Yeah.
so long. Especially after that, he signed the 6 year extension. I think this is year 2 into it.
Mhm.
Um, but hoping because he always has the potential, like, but he just never. I don't know, because you know how strong he is, but he's never really. I think like the most home runs he's hit in a season is like 24 or something.
Yeah.
So
It's because he can't hit left-handers. That's one issue. But if he's able to figure that out and just get some power from against lefties, he's gonna be a 30 homer guy easily.
he's like cut down on the strikeouts over the past couple years.
Mhm.
So like the potential is there, but obviously tremendous in the field. One of the best
Yeah.
fielders in general in the MLB. It doesn't even matter where you put him,
Mhm.
second or third or first. He's one of the best
Yeah.
at those positions. So
Yeah, he's an incredible defender. I'm like I like they have guys like if all goes well, they're a playoff team because like if all goes well, Montero is a 20 homer guy this season and is really good. If all goes well, McMahon figures it out. If all goes well, their pitching stays solid and stays healthy. And that's the biggest thing. They just stay healthy. If all goes well, Brendan Rodgers comes back and then you stick him in the lineup somewhere and he plays well like he did at the end last season, and then they make a second, third wild card or whatever, and then the front office deludes themselves into thinking they're good. That's the best case scenario, but realistically, I think 70 wins is probably where they'll end up. They're not going to be 100 loss team. They're not that bad. Like
right.
they're just mediocre, which is like the issue, but it's also fun. Like it's not that big of a deal as long as they're able to get their young guys in and then play as much as they can. I think they'll be like 70-ish.
Yeah. Let's hope.
Yeah.
We'll see how they, again, this is very, very, very early. And then we'll see how they play with, their bottom three starting rotation guys. But
Yeah.
it looks pretty good so far. They haven't experienced like the core's hangover yet, which
Yeah.
will happen. But the road hitting, they've had like 17 hits or something in the
They had
first.
17 hits in game one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They won. So then I mean, they had a lot last
Yeah.
night too. So um the road hitting looks good through 2 games.
Hmm.
But
Opening weekend is always fun. Like regardless of how bad your team is, it's always like, oh, it's like there's promise, like there's hope that they can be good.
Because like in baseball, like wow, voice major voice in baseball, like because like such a bad team can beat a good team on
Mhm.
any given day. So then if you just get that lucky like a couple times, then hey, the Rockies beat the Padres 3-1 in a series, and then they're like, oh, are the Rockies real? Like
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it's always fun. I saw an interview with Christian Yelich, and he was like, when we were on the Marlins, like this is like first off, those Marlins teams should have been good because they were just freaking stacked and they would never make the playoffs. But he was like, when we were on the Marlins, like we sucked, but the beginning of the season, we always had so much hope and we're always really good. And then halfway into the season, our manager gets fired, and then like he's
what
like, oh
even
geez.
I always want to ask what even goes into that. I want to ask a player because the Rockies have gone through that like for the past decade.
Yeah.
They always start off well and then it just falls off. Like, how does that happen? Is it really just the averages evening out? It's like, all right, it's not a very talented team, and then they end up losing, or is it just like, I don't know. It's probably a lot of like a depth thing because players get hurt, and then that's when it really gets bad because you got to play these guys who have barely played. Um, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know what goes into it mentally.
It's probably just like hope and confidence, like just like false hope and false confidence, just like carrying you until you just hit a stretch where
Yeah.
it actually starts to come out. Like that's probably what it is. But I want to ask them too, because like that is something that's so weird. Like it happens with every single bad team. Like they always start out really solid, and then it just always turns away.
Yeah.
It sucks,
Yeah.
but it's the way it works. And that's it for me. I don't really have anything else.
No,
But
yeah, that was good.
yeah,
An
we
hour
will.
get it on the spot. So
Yeah, we could probably do one, I guess, after the Nuggets game, after their season ends, honestly, after regular season.
yeah,
Do
we'll see how because I have like a thing coming up, like a surgery. So I don't know.
oh yeah. So
I
we
mean,
might do one.
what?
Oh, that's like
It's Monday.
Monday. Oh,
Yeah, I know. I got to be in there at like 5:30. It's like a day long surgery. Kind of sucks. But then so that I'm in the hospital for like a week after that. Um, so I won't be able to record, but probably after that I'll be good. Like once I
okay,
get out of the hospital, because I'm just lying in bed right now. So, um,
okay. I guess we'll schedule around that. We'll see
yeah.
whenever we're feeling up to it. But yeah, as in to be determined when it's